The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Project by Julie Travis, Ben Fisher, Austin Coonahan, and Connor Leach. Plot. If you were a 9-year-old boy named Bruno and had to move to Auschwitz with no friends there, what would you do? In the exposition of the book, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, we meet a boy named Bruno whose father is a commandant for Auschwitz. Then you meet a Jewish boy named Shmuel who lives at a camp. They go through lots of trouble to see each other. The problem is that Bruno doesn't have anyone to play with when he starts to explore. In the rising action, Bruno meets Shmuel, Pavel, and Lieutenant Cutler. Also in the rising action, the two boys make a plan for Bruno to go under the fence and help find Shmuel's papa. At the climax, Bruno goes under the fence and wearing striped pajamas. In the following action, they looked for Papa but can't find him. In the resolution, the boys go into a gas chamber and die. Then Mother and Gretel move away, and Father stays at Auschwitz. Setting. What if you had to move to a mysterious place for a mysterious reason? The story takes place in 1943 to 1945. In the beginning, the story takes place in the large house of Berlin. For the rest of the story, the setting takes place at a mysterious place with a large fence and small huts with people in striped pajamas. The place is called Auschwitz, but Bruno, the main character, calls it Outwith. Auschwitz is where Bruno's father works as a commandant. Auschwitz is a concentration camp where Jews were sent. Auschwitz is a major conflict in the story because a main character, Shmuel, a boy at Auschwitz, goes there and it is a huge part. If Shmuel wasn't at Auschwitz, he would be free. At Auschwitz, there is a fence separating the Jews from Bruno's house and everything else. Bruno is on one side and Shmuel is on the other. The setting in The Boy in Striped Pajamas creates emotion, like sadness, and sets up everything in the book. The setting was the most important part in the book in many ways. Characters. Have you ever had a friend you see on a daily basis but never go to play with? The two main characters in The Boy in the Striped Pajamas know exactly what I'm talking about. Bruno is a very friendly 9-year-old, and Shmuel is his best friend. Bruno shows how much Shmuel means to him when he says, "You are my best friend, Shmuel, my best friend for life." Shmuel is very friendly. When Bruno complains that all they do is talk, Shmuel says, "I like sitting here and talking." Another thing about Shmuel is that he is very quiet and reserved. When Bruno says, "I've been exploring," Shmuel says, "Have you?" Bruno is not just friendly, he is also loving and nice. For example, when he tells the housemaid she is a part of the family. Shmuel is very skinny, whereas Bruno is much bigger. Shmuel is scrawny and skinny because Bruno says, they're all terribly skinny, referring to the people on the Shmuel side of the fence that separates the camp from Bruno's house. I know Bruno is larger than Shmuel because Shmuel comes right out and says, "Only fatter." Besides being skinny, Shmuel is odd-looking. Bruno says, "It was quite a strange face, too." Since Bruno called Shmuel ugly, I should also say how small Bruno is. When Bruno told his sister's friends he was 9, she said, "Then why are you so small?" Then she added, "All the other 9-year-olds are bigger than you." Bruno and Shmuel are two different boys from two different worlds, and while they are different on the outside, they have the same kinds of hearts. Theme. Picture this. You have to move to a faraway place in the middle of nowhere, and because your father is a Nazi. You only have one sister that doesn't play with you, and there is nothing to do, and you just might die of boredom. Then, when you are exploring out along a fence, a dot that becomes a speck, that becomes a blob, that becomes a figure, that becomes a boy, a Jewish boy appears. This is what happened to Bruno. Friendship is a main theme in this book in many ways. One way is how Bruno and Shmuel meet every day at the same spot at the fence at the same time. Every afternoon, when Father is at work and Mother is taking her afternoon nap, he meets Shmuel at the fence. Also, friendship shows up when Bruno makes a big mistake by telling Lieutenant Cutler that he doesn't know Shmuel, and then Shmuel gets beaten for stealing food. The part of when friendship comes up is right after when Bruno knew he had made a big mistake and felt terrible. The next day, they met Bruno and apologized, and Shmuel forgives him. He says, "I'm so sorry, Shmuel. I don't know why I did it. Say you forgive me." Shmuel replies, "It's all right." Finally, at the end of the story, when they are in the gas chamber, Bruno tells Shmuel, "You are my best friend, Shmuel, my best friend for life." If they ever end up living, their friendship would never break. The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Project by Julie Travis, Ben Fisher, Austin Cunahan, and Connor Leach.